Is Meta the dream destination or the dark side of the tech world? Meta is a truly unique company with a hacker culture, awesome people, and a flexible way of getting things done. But then you add intense performance reviews and waves of layoffs on top of that. So how does Meta really operate, and what are the pros and cons of working there? In this video, I'll share my personal opinion based on 2.5 years at the company as a lead software engineer. Let's start with the positives. One of the coolest things about Meta is massive growth and learning opportunities, especially for those early in their careers. At Meta, engineers aren't strictly working on one area. Many are full stack and work on both the front end and the backend, using a variety of languages and tools. I joined as an iOS engineer but quickly learned to work on the backend and other platforms as well, even picking up Hack, Facebook's version of PHP which most engineers use. You start learning Hack in your first week at the company, even if you're a mobile or a front-end engineer. Also, you're not only thinking about delivering features, but also about the privacy and the security aspects, and how it scales on Facebook's huge user base. I still remember when I was just trying to add a settings button and it turned into a whole rabbit hole about privacy and scalable design. So even working on something small as a settings button can introduce you to many different topics. I asked a friend who's been at the company for 4 years, what is the most valuable thing for you at Meta? He said it's the chance to work on projects you won't find anywhere else. Sounds intriguing, right? Another cool learning opportunity is the mentorship program, where you can find a mentor outside your team who has more experience. Often though, you learn as much from people in your immediate team or sibling teams. Meta has a lot of talented and ambitious people, and being surrounded by them means you're constantly learning. I would personally always take a growth opportunity over a high paycheck, so that was a huge plus for me. Next is the company culture, which is very different from other big tech companies. Even though Meta has grown larger and more bureaucratic, it's not a startup anymore, but you can still see a plenty of hacker culture. One of the core values is move fast and don't be afraid to break things. And it is very real. As an engineer, you can ship code to production quickly and experiment freely. Sure, you need a kill switch to turn off your feature if needed, but generally you can get your work to market much faster than in other companies. This rapid pace leads to a fast evolving codebase and product. The product direction changes fast as well. You can wake up and realize that the company is now called Meta and is working on a metaverse. I wouldn't call that necessarily a good thing, but it is what it is. Another part of the culture is open and direct communication style. Managers always tell you that feedback is a gift and a currency at Meta. The idea is that you grow and improve when you know what to grow and improve. And feedback helps you understand that. So generally it's beneficial for you to receive constructive feedback and criticism, because you can process it, get better at what you do, and maybe get a promotion as a result. But as you can probably guess, there is a dark side to that, especially for more emotional and sensitive people. It can be difficult and even painful to process constant constructive feedback. Burnout from this is very real. I believe that feedback is essential, but in the right amount, and that amount is different for everyone. It's the manager's job to recognize that and adjust the level of criticism accordingly. Some managers at Meta do that well, but not everyone. Another part of the culture is how lightweight and startup-like the process is in many teams. No Scrum, no Jira, just a super simple ticket system. Most of the work is built on communication, which might not be typical for a tech company. Communication and networking are extremely important to succeed in the company, and they are built into the nature of work. It's a social network after all, and inside the company there is an internal social network that's used as well. And yes, you were expected to write posts there and read your feed. I remember this funny moment. Another engineer told me, "You need to post more on the internal social network. You need to increase the visibility of your work. Like, seriously? It was hard to work on projects without reaching out to a bunch of people, mostly because people, not documentation, held the knowledge. Some might say that's bad, but I don't think so. It's just a different approach. So yeah, everything is based on constant communication. Alright, let's touch on the topic of compensation and benefits. Super important, obviously. Compensation at Meta is top of the market and includes three components: base salary, performance bonus, and stock grants. You probably know that tech companies' stocks have had a tendency to rise in the last decade, which greatly influences your total comp. You get a fixed number of stock units every 3 months. The higher the stock price, the more those shares are worth. That's why some people stay in the company for many years without a promotion, because their stock grants just keep growing. This way, a senior engineer at Meta can make as much as a CTO in some other company. Let me know in the comments, would you rather have a super high salary as a senior engineer at Meta or go somewhere else for a faster career growth? Another part is benefits, and they are top of the market as well. Meta has 2 beautiful offices in London where I worked. Free kitchen with lunch and dinner, a lot of snacks and other stuff, and not just cookies and tea. Literally large cupboards and fridges full of snacks and drinks, including breakfast stuff like yogurt and milk. I know it sounds silly, but honestly, I was impressed. Another thing is that most of the problems in my life was easier to solve through Meta. Taxes? Through Meta. Legal advice? Through Meta. Finding a tennis court nearby? Ask a concierge service at Meta. Healthcare, work from home equipment, all handled. Maybe it's because I relocated with Meta and they helped me build my whole life from scratch, but that was my experience. It didn't even feel like a company sometimes, more like its own little country. Another obvious pro of working at Meta is its brand and your ability to put that on your resume. Having Meta on your resume is like a stamp of approval. It stays with you forever. It really can help you grow your career further or even in your future business. By the way, if you want to succeed in your big tech interviews, feel free to book a personalized mentoring session with me, link down below in the description. Even after I moved on and started working at Bloomberg, people still called me that guy from Meta or asked me something about my time there. But at the same time, people nowadays are overhyping big tech brands. Every other tech YouTube video thumbnail has a Meta or Google logo on it. Even I'm tired of this. But it works. People know that it's super hard to get there and they respect that. Alright, let's now move on to the cons of working at Meta. I know that some of you have been waiting for this part. Let's start with the elephant in the room, layoffs. Since 2020, Meta has gone through at least 4 big waves of layoffs, cutting more than 26,000 jobs. It mostly came down to overhiring during the pandemic, a slower economy, a tougher competition, hello TikTok, Apple privacy changes, and the push to cut costs. From an employee's side, it is brutal and doesn't sound like a one-time thing anymore. For those who relocated with families, sudden layoffs can be especially tough. I believe that job security is a big deal these days. If you're young, single, and willing to take risks, Meta is a great place for you to grow really fast. But for others, this thing with layoffs is a major red flag. I believe that's bad for the company because constant layoffs put people into the defensive mode and they take less risks, and therefore there is less innovation in the company. Another issue is the brutal performance reviews every 6 months. You are evaluated based on what you did plus feedback from manager and your peers. Results of the performance review highly affect your career progression at Meta, compensation, and job security. Some friends and I used to joke that Meta runs on performance-driven development. Everything revolves around those performance reviews and what you write in your self-assessment form. That's why working on long-term projects can feel pointless. It's hard to get visible impact fast enough for performance review. So a lot of engineers focus on easy, fast wins instead of thinking long-term. The whole evaluation process can take a few weeks and is really stressful for many people. There is a really high level of competition between teammates, partly because of this performance-driven culture. Some may say it's an unhealthy environment, others that it is effective and good for business. Work-life balance is not Meta's strong suit, obviously, but it depends on your team and org. In some teams, there is a relatively normal and chill situation. In others, 60 to 80 hours a week work and a really high pressure. As for remote work, it exists, but is really hard to get. There was a short window during the pandemic when everyone could go remote, but that door is closed now. Personally, I spent a big part of my time at Meta working remotely, and I loved it, but I understand it's not for everyone. Another thing that was really weird for me is frequent reorgs and management changes. For example, I had 4 different line managers in just 1 year. You can imagine that it's difficult to build strong relationships in this sort of situation, and product direction changes frequently. My projects were killed a few times and never released to the public. It felt demotivating for sure. I guess this is a byproduct of Meta's fast-paced culture, but it could be too much sometimes. To summarize, even with the downsides, I had an awesome experience at Meta and I wouldn't trade it for anything. The hard times at Meta built strong relationships and friendships with people. With some of them we're still friends, even though many had left the company. Also, I learned a lot and I'm genuinely thankful for this experience. Alright, if you enjoyed my content, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a great day.